Hello, my friends. Jacob is here once again. Thank you for pressing play, for spending a little time with me, and for subscribing and doing all that stuff. Okay, so this show, it's like been a year in the making. I've been studying this subject in particular and talking about it for over a year now. And if you're not new to the channel, all of these subjects, from Planet X, Nibiru, to the Mandela effect, to CERN, the D-wave commuter, all of these things, you're always looking in science, you're looking for that one thing that ties everything together. Well, this is it. And it has to do with the Tower of Babel. I know. It's going to sound like this is like major conspiracy stuff. But as I continue to talk and as I explain to you all of this stuff that has been tucked away and hidden for thousands of years, what was to come, it's going to blow your mind. Like, I am almost positive that I started to talk about all of these things for a very specific reason. And I think that last breadcrumb just opened up to me. And it started just recently. You probably heard about that message that CERN scientist from the book of Daniel, Mene Tekel Parson, which is what the king dreamed, and Daniel told him what it basically meant. It basically meant that, that the days of your kingdom were numbered, and that you've been weighed, you've been judged, and you've been found wanting, and now everything is going to be taken away from you. And what was weird about that was I had been studying Daniel right before this information made the rounds. I tried to track down a valid source to see if this was like a legitimate thing, like a scientist literally found this, or if this was just some kind of fake news, as they call it. But you know what? Regardless of whether or not it literally happened, it ties into this. Because the days of this kingdom, the days of the new world order, this one world order, they are numbered. And the reason that we've been talking about all of this stuff is going to tie in directly to this new experiment that is being run out of CERN, well, Fermi Labs with CERN and pretty much everybody else. It's called the Dune experiment. I'm going to get into the Dune experiment. I'm going to get into a lot of other things today that are going to blow your mind. I'm going to start off by tearing apart Genesis chapter 11. In there, I found just yesterday, like a coded message. And it is really freaky. Like, if Genesis 11 doesn't speak specifically, the Tower of Babel, where they built that tower to reach the heavens. When I break this down to you, if you don't think that this is linked directly to CERN, I gotta tell you, you probably aren't paying attention, because it could be. Now, I know it speaks of a whole other thing metaphorically and spiritually speaking. I get that. I've taught on this. I've written essays about it. But what's going on now may in fact be happening in the literal. We're talking about time travel. We're talking about opening up of different dimensions. And we're talking about possibly some kind of event where the kingdom of this world, that evil kingdom, the Illuminati's kingdom, is going to be taken away. And the kings of the world, they've been getting together and they've been trying to make plans, and they're trying to build that tower to reach to the heavens so they're not scattered everywhere in the earth. Because what a lot of people won't tell you about the Tower of Babel is they built this tower. They tried to reach the heavens. They tried to break into that other dimension, that dimension where the creator, where the divine is. They tried to break into it because they knew that their days were numbered. Isn't that interesting? And they knew that if they didn't do this, they would be scattered throughout the earth. Something earth-shaking was coming their way, and they knew it. And they wanted to find a way out of it. And I believe that's what's been going on. And today, you better be buckled up, people, because that's what we're talking about today. Now, before I get into this Dune experiment, which is basically it's the deep underground neutrino experiment, okay? Before I really get into that and I dig into that, I want to go through Genesis chapter 11 for you. And as I was going through this, and as I was studying this, and as I was peeling back the layers to this, I started making these connections, these crazy connections. Or I shouldn't say crazy connections, these amazing connections that link directly to what CERN is doing. I'm going to read this slowly, and I hope you follow on, okay? So now listen to how Genesis 11 starts. And the whole earth had one language and one speech. Isn't that interesting? Right now, the New World Order, the one world, this world right now, it's ruled by one, right? What does it say on the dollar bill? I mean, what does it say on the dollar bill? What does it say on the dollar bill? Right here, it says, Annuit coptis novos ordo seclorum. I mean, look, the New World Order, it's been around for a while. It's right there on our, notice how in God we trust is a lot smaller than the one world government, one world religion, one world trade center, one world, new world. So isn't it interesting that the whole of the earth, I mean, literally the whole of the earth is under the influence of one controlling elite that is in charge of everything. And don't you find it interesting that the Bilderberg meeting that just took place, the Bilderberg, that hidden hand, the people that are in charge of everything? Well, for the first time ever, the head of CERN went over there and met with him. And that's big news, because you don't go over there unless you have something to talk about, something that is important. And I believe it's all tied together to this, the tower, and what they're trying to do. So, in the beginning, right, the whole earth had one language and one speak. Check. Listen to number 2. And they journeyed east, and they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. Now, at that moment when I read Shinar, I said, I wonder, I'm probably in like Mesopotamia somewhere, like Babylon and all that jazz. But I go, wait a minute, what does Shinar mean? So I looked it up, and what I found was Shinar is simply a Hebrew corruption of the Akkadian word. It literally translates into country of two rivers. Country of two rivers, or place where two rivers meet. Now this is where it gets weird. So it's not a literal location, right? It's a place where two rivers meet. And wouldn't you find it interesting that in Geneva, Switzerland, where CERN is located, two rivers meet. And it's a famous confluence of the Rhone and the Arve rivers, Geneva, Switzerland. I mean, it's crazy too, because you have this murky water and this blue water, and it comes together as one. Isn't it interesting that they came there to build this tower? That's kind of spooky if you think about it, right? There's a lot of coincidence. One world religion, one world government, and then they met together in this place called Shinar where two rivers meet. And there, listen to this, they said, come, let us make bricks and smash them together. Now, bricks, you look to that root word, it's really the building blocks of life. And what exactly are they doing at CERN? Well, they're smashing particles, the building blocks of life. And they're smashing them together, and they're trying to create, and they have created, they're trying to create mini black holes, which they have. They're also trying to create antimatter and store it. I've done videos on all this stuff. This is not great news, but they're really trying to break into this other dimension. If you don't believe that there are more dimensions, right? Trust me, there are. Scientifically speaking, everybody knows about it. And if you haven't done any research, don't think that this is fake news. Do some research and you'll see critical papers being published on the subject. And today I'm going to be talking about things from universities. So this is not fake news, people. They're trying to open up dimensions. They're trying to open up portals. They're trying to create time travel. Let us make bricks and burn them together. And they had brick for stone, and they had tar for mortar. I thought to myself, okay, now what if we're talking literally about something like that? And for whatever reason, I said, what is the tar? And all of a sudden, now this is true. My hand to God on my children. The word gluon came to mind. Probably because I do a lot of research on this stuff. Look, I've been studying CERN for about a year, but I looked up the word gluon, okay? Gluon is a tar-like substance. It's all connected. This is what they're doing. They're taking these bricks, they're smashing them together until they annihilate, till they burn together, right? And then they're using this tar for a mortar, the gluons, and they're trying, look, the God particle. The God particle is what glues everything together, and that's what they found. But what they also found, you're going to find out, is a singlet. After the Higgs boson, it's the boson singlet. I'm going to talk about that because they said back in 2011, if they found the Higgs, they're going to find the singlet, which means they're going to be able to time travel, to go back in time, to change things. Messages in particular, words in particular, data in particular.
Right now, you're standing inside CERN, the European Organisation for Nuclear Research, and you've got a view that very few people will ever see. This is one of the places that helped to discover the Higgs boson. So, that big shiny pipe above you is connected to the tunnels that we were just in. And when the beams of particles are going fast enough, tiny adjustments are made to bring those two beams together until, right here, they collide. In an instant, the particles are smashed to pieces. And it's these even smaller particles that the CMS can detect. It's an enormous sensor that looks for the fundamental building blocks of the universe.
They said, let us build a tower whose top is in the heavens. Now, tower doesn't mean literal tower. I know that, you see this all the time. The tower that they're talking about in Hebrew, it actually means like elevated stage or pulpit or shrine or altar. And isn't it weird that like CERN is, not only is the logo, 666, we all know that. But Shiva, the destroyer, right? The one that creates life and destroys life, the cyclical motion. That's their mascot. That's prominently displayed. There's actually a shrine of Shiva right there. The weirder thing is, they actually performed like a fake mock human sacrifice there. These are like scientists doing this stuff, not college kids. They said it was blowing off steam, but this is all ritual. This is the tower they built. Look, CERN is located on an ancient temple for Apollyon the Destroyer. That's the angel that opened up the bottomless pit. Gave them the keys, right? That's what they're opening. They're trying to do this because they're worried about something. And what if what they're scared of, what if they're worried about is what's coming our way? What if it's connected to, the alignment in September 23rd? I'm not talking about the end of the world, people. I'm talking about a change of the guard. I'm talking about a switch of the kingdom, because that message, they've been weighed, they've been found wanting, and now their kingdom is going to be ripped from them, it's going to be given to another, and they're going to be scattered, right? So no matter how hard they try, what ends up happening is God sees that they're doing this, and he basically does it anyway. He says, look, now they got the power of this. Oh, we're going to stop that. We're going to put brakes on it. We're going to scatter them anyway. We're going to do it anyway. Can't be stopped, because whatever's set in motion is set in motion. Whatever is. Believe it or not, what we're experiencing right now has already happened. It's a great passage that says there's nothing new under the sun. This has possibly happened before in another way. I was telling my wife about all this, and I was going through, Genesis 11, and she's like, are they trying to make it happen? I said, Dan, who knows? But I mean, really, if there was some greater plan that we're not aware of, I mean, why wouldn't it be hidden and tucked away inside holy books? I mean, if you're looking for the answers to everything, we've been conditioned and brainwashed to think that, you go to the Bible, you go to this, you go to that, you go to, everybody has their holy book, whether it's the Quran, whether it's, the Gita, or whether it's the Upanishads, or it is the scriptures, which is, what I love. What if the message, the truth has been coded and hidden away in there? So when I looked at all this, and I saw the two rivers, and I saw the one world government, and I saw it all coming together, and that they're building this tower, they're building this shrine, they're building this, what literally means place of influence. They're building this tower to reach into the heavens, to reach into the spiritual world, to reach into that dimension, so that they're not scattered, trying to change things, and that Gothard Tunnel. I mean, there was a big celebration. If you saw the Gothard Tunnel, where they opened up that tunnel, man, it is spooky. And they used like 666 blades to dig in, and they had 666 performers performing this thing where, I mean, it was just spooky. I have a video on it, check it out. But at the end of it, they showed time stopping and then going backwards. And they saw all the big heads of state bowing down, and they were celebrating and they were cheering. And why were they doing this? Because they figured it out. Who's to say that they didn't go back in time and change things? Who's to say that that's not what the Mandela effect is about? Now you say time travel, right? Crazy. Well, no, I'm sorry, but that's not necessarily true. This is actually what they've been focused on. And they've already proven they can send data back and forward in time. Listen to this, Vanderbilt University, okay? This is 2011. Hard because a lot of these stories have been buried. Large Hadron Collider could be the world's first time machine. Large Hadron Collider, the world's largest atom smasher that started regular operation last year. It could be the first machine capable of causing matter to travel backwards in time. Okay, that's nuts, right? And then they say that things like the Mandela effect, like all of these logos that are changing. You don't know anything about it? Watch my videos on that. But they're things that have changed. I've personally watched things change and then change back, like the Apollo 13 line. Look it up. Why is it that there's like 20 articles about movie misquotes when they're saying the misquote is actually what the real quote is? That's because it flipped. and other things haven't flipped because they can only send certain amount of messages back in time. And why wouldn't they do a test run and basically go after everything? Like everybody wants to know, oh, why the logos? Why all the pulp culture movies? These are famous movie lines that we know. These are famous logos that we know because they want to change it slightly to see if we notice. Because if they're doing something on a global scale, if they're going to change everything, if they're going to flip that switch and they're going to actually build that tower and basically turn it on and switch everything over to escape some kind of impending doom, they want to see how we're all going to react, psychologically speaking. And so far, they've done a good job of making us all look like lunatics. But this stuff can scientifically happen. The D-Wave computer is said to operate in parallel dimensions, parallel universes. Look it up, people. One attractive thing to this approach to time travel, sending data instead of people, is that it avoids the big paradoxes, Wheeler said, because time travel is limited to special particles. It's not possible for a man to travel back in time yet and murder one of his parents before he's born. However, if scientists can control, listen to this, the Higgs singlets, they might be able to send messages to the past or the future. Their theory, they said, was possibly a long shot because they didn't even know if the Higgs particle existed. Well, guess what? It did, and they found it. And if they found it, they said they'd found this singlet. Okay, if the collider succeeds in producing the Higgs boson, which it has, some scientists predict that it will create a second particle called the Higgs singlet at the same time. According to Wheeler and Ho, these singlets should have the ability to, get this, jump into extra dimensions, reach the heavens, where they can move forward or backward in time and reappear, whatever. Now, let's get into the Dune experiment, okay? The deep underground neutrino experiment. Last year, CERN created quite a controversy when it said that neutrinos now travel faster than the speed of light. Now, that can't happen according to Einstein's theory of relativity, because if it does, everything kind of folds in on itself. But they said that it does travel faster, and they proved it. But then they went back like a year later, and then they kind of said, oh, we're going to test it again. They never really said that it doesn't. There's a big debate on whether or not it's true. But the fact that they're spending so much money on this deep underground neutrino experiment says something. Now, Dune, right? Dune, it's about this planet Arrakis, and there's this mineral called spice, and basically this spice is the key to the secret of like eternal life, the key to time travel, space folding, warping. You need this spice. It's like that elixir that makes everything possible and makes you God. So it's kind of like an allegory, and they were fighting over control of Arrakis, right? Okay, so the bottom line is space warping in on itself. That's what the movie's about. That's what this experiment is called. Dune. Do you think it's a coincidence that they're dealing with neutrinos, which basically they're like black holes or neutrino factories? That's where it comes from. You ever hear of a neutron star? It blows up and it creates a black hole, opening up to another dimension. That's what they're doing in CERN, people. This stuff is like written right in the scriptures, and now it's all making sense.
The experiment begins with Fermilab's accelerator complex, which moves protons close to the speed of light. It's all part of an effort by more than 1,000 scientists from around the world to figure out how tiny particles called neutrinos work, and what role they play in the evolution of our universe. Neutrinos are the most abundant matter particles in the cosmos, but very hard to catch. Trillions stream through you every second without leaving a trace. At LBNF, the beam of protons will smash into a target, creating the most intense beam of neutrinos in the world. Scientists will collect data to measure properties of neutrinos close to the source and again far away. Neutrinos change as they travel, so scientists are sending them straight through 1,300 kilometers of rock toward the Dune detectors at the Sanford Underground Research Facility in South Dakota.
So they say that they're just studying these neutrinos. They say that that's what they're trying to understand how everything comes together, right? What are they trying to do? They're trying to find out why we're here, where we came from. They're trying to be God. That's what's written in Genesis 11. And that's what the warning is about. So it's all tied together, people. It's all tied together. You know, meaning, tekel parson. You've been found wanting. Your kingdom is going to be taken from you and given to others. No matter how hard this perverse system, this control system, no matter how hard they try, they're going to fail. And that's the good news. And that's why I come on every week and I'm excited about this stuff. And I'm not stressed about this stuff. Because when they're naming their prototypes that they're going to be using in the Dune experiment, Icarus, which we all know made the flaw of flying too close to the sun, that's what they're doing. They're trying to fly a little bit too high. They've bitten off a little more than they can chew because they want to keep the corrupt rule of misery and perversion in place. But yet all of us, we're waking up. All of us, we're starting to hear about the Mandela effect and Planet 9 and CERN. And we're starting to put all the pieces together. And now it makes more sense than ever to me. Perhaps this is that tower that is written about in the book of Genesis. And perhaps everything's going to be scattered abroad. Perhaps that message that I could not verify personally literally happened. And if that's the case, then every one of us has good reason to be excited. Because who do you think is going to inherit that kingdom? The meek, the downtrodden, those like us. And we don't need to grab a sword and a gun. We don't need to do any of that to inherit it. All we need to do is love and understand that what you do to others, you do to yourself. In any event, I hope that this made a lick of sense to you. And I am sorry, it is a very difficult topic for me to speak on. I know I said I was going to talk about AI and how they can now read minds. I'm going to get to that, but this just felt more important. When Genesis 11 opened up to me, it just felt more important. One world government, and then they come and they rested in a place, where two rivers collide, and they tried to build a tower made to heaven by smashing the building blocks of life together. And come on! Anyway, I'm excited. I love each and every one of you. I want to let you all know, please do subscribe. Please do share this video with others. Please do check the bell so that you don't miss it. I love each and every one of you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.